Last video, I talked about the importance of emphasis for meaning when you're talking to native speakers. Well, this time around I want to talk about one more element that a lot of people seem to forget when they're communicating with native speakers. What could that possibly be? Intonation. Remember the sentence I used last video, Mr. Brown has a black hat? Well, we can use that same sentence again as an example for this video. Here's the sentence, Mr. Brown has a black hat. Well, let's change the intonation and see what happens. Mr. Brown has a black hat? Well, what happened there? It suddenly became a question. Is that a regular question? No, it's not a regular question. A regular question, we must invert the subject and the special verb. We didn't do that. This question means, are you taking your medication correctly? Because Mr. Brown doesn't have a black hat. Check out what happens now. Mr. Brown has a black hat? That question means, are you sure that hat's black? Because to me it looks blue. And this one, Mr. Brown has a black hat? Can't you tell he has 3 black hats in his hand? Mr. Brown has a black hat? Oh my God, are you crazy? He doesn't have a black hat. Mr. Brown is a black hat? Can't you tell it's Mr. Pink? Mr. Brown has a black hat? Take a look. It's Mrs. Brown who has the black hat. So what was 6 sentences last video turns out to be 12 sentences with the same grammatical construction. The only difference is we've now put a question mark on the end by changing the intonation. That's 12 different interpretations of the same 6 words. Take the time to think about this just a little bit. The impact of the emphasis, the combination of intonation, it's pretty much all a native speaker needs to understand what you're saying. And if you don't focus on those 2 things, they're going to say, huh? Of course, vocabulary and grammar are super duper important, and you definitely want to do everything you can to improve those 2 things. But consider this, when you're trying to communicate, the 2 most important elements that most people tend to forget are emphasis and intonation. Yes, they definitely help you when you're trying to communicate with a native speaker, but they're also going to help you when you need to understand what that native speaker is trying to communicate to you. Instead of focusing so much on words and grammar, listen for and communicate meaning.